and a good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening to you, the good people of the tube. For today, hope you're feeling grand and all's going well, and I certainly hope you're feeling as good as I am today, and I bet you can't tell why. Yeah! Yes, I have a white Les Paul custom Tokai to show you today, people of the tube. This is my newest member of my family, and I am in a lot of love with this guitar. I have wanted a white custom since I first started playing guitar. And the ones I've played, the real Gibson ones, way out of my price range. Way out of my price range. And in all fairness, I've always wanted a Tokai Les Paul. You know, in all fairness, I kind of wanted like a Love Rock or something like that. But because I've always looked at Tokai and I've always loved Tokai. I mean, I've got the Tokai, the 84 Strat downstairs, and that thing's just ridiculous. That's amazing. And every Tokai I've ever played, I've just liked. Some more than others. Some were kind of like, yeah, that's okay. Some were just like, oh my god, you know, that Strat being one of them, and this definitely being another one. So anyway, so let me just, so I'm gonna tell you a bit stories. So a bit of a story about it. And if you want to skip ahead to the playing, then please feel free. You don't have to listen to me waffle. If you just skip it forward, you'll find when I start playing. So, my first introduction to the Les Paul Custom, the white one, was when I first went to college. I started playing guitar in May 2002, and I went to college in September 2002. So I wasn't very good. I couldn't play very well. But there, we did like a little kind of like gig thing where basically like groups from other kind of like other courses, other music courses, we would all get together in this one area and everyone would be in a band and everyone would play. And I remember this one guy who everyone kind of looked up to as kind of like a guitar god, if you will. Everyone looked up to him because he was really, really good. He had a white Epiphone Les Paul Custom, and I didn't know anything about that at that point. It was before my Slash phase. It was before anything. I mean, I didn't know anything, but I remember seeing this kind of guitar, the Epiphone version that he had, exactly like this, identical to this, and it was just the Epiphone. And I just remember seeing it and going, "What is that?" Because I remember he had a black one as well. He had the black custom, but I always feel all the black customs, although I love black customs and I love my Epiphone black custom, the white one is my favourite. And I think it's because I really like white. White is my favourite colour on guitar anyway. You know, I love white guitars. It's my favourite. They really are. And but I remember seeing his. I remember he had it in his locker, and he took it out of the locker in a soft case, and he just took it out before the gig. And there was loads of people gathered around, and everyone was kind of like, it was like the Holy Grail, you know. Everyone was kind of looking at this guitar and this guitarist, and he was playing something. Anyway, I remember watching him play it that day, and he had it kind of quite low. And he was a really good guitarist, you know, as memory serves. And I was just like, the sound of the thing and the way he played it was just so cool. And I was just like, you know, and it stuck with me. It really stuck with me. The white Les Paul Custom really stuck with me. Because I only had my Washburn Maverick series at this point. And this is before my Slash phase. I didn't know what a Les Paul was. I didn't know anything like that. I just, you know, I had my Washburn and my PV Rage, and that was it. And then I saw that guitar and it just kind of stuck with me. And over the years, I've always wanted a white custom. You know, I was willing to settle for the Epiphone, the black custom. But then this thing came along. So, and before that, you know, I've always kind of hankered after a white Les Paul custom. And, but I say, most of them being Gibson or not very good, the ones I've tried. The other ones, I've tried a few Epiphones and I've never really bonded with any. You know, I've tried quite a lot that were in my price range, and they never really worked. It just never worked. And then I got into like people like James Dean Bradfield from Manic Street Preachers, whose main guitar is a white Les Paul Custom. Steve Jones from the Sex Pistols, who I grew up listening to, white Les Paul Custom. And then later on, Randy Rhoads, white Les Paul Custom. So, you know, they were my kind of like three heroes. And then obviously, you know, that guy who I saw playing, I don't know who he is. You know, I don't know, you know, what deal was there, but like I remember clearly we were down in this, like I say, we were down in this kind of like corridor bit where all the lockers were. He opened the locker, took out a soft case, and a white Les Paul Custom came out of it, and I was just like, what is that? That is one of the coolest looking things I've ever seen. And honestly, I think the white Les Paul Custom is one of the best looking Les Pauls ever made. especially with with the black fittings and the gold hardware. My God, and the massive load of binding. What is it? White, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. I don't know how many thing it is. I've just finished playing, by the way, people do. So I'm in space right now, so I can't think very well. So I'm probably waffling, and I'll do my best to continue the story. So anyway, so I've always been after one, never found one that spoke to me. I've played a bunch of them. I've played so many customs. I've played a lot of Gibsons that I could never afford because the customs are so expensive. We had about 3 in Old Hat which were amazing. There was one that stood out above the rest. We sold it eventually, but it was an amazing guitar. It was really cool though because somebody had put their postcode on the top of the guitar in invisible ink. If you got it in a certain light, you could see it. And we found out it came from Leeds initially. Whoever owned that guitar originally, the postcode took it to Leeds. Anyway, they were amazing, but I say couldn't afford that. I can't afford a Gibson. And then I tried a few Epiphones, and the Epiphones just weren't there. The pickup sounded naff to me. It just didn't, and they didn't feel right. Having been a spoiled little brat and played some amazingly really old customs and some some amazing Gibson customs. I was kind of and some custom shop stuff. I was kind of well, I know kind of what I want from a Les Paul custom, and it's not what I want from a standard. It's different. What I want from a custom is different to what I want from a standard Les Paul. And and I've got my heroes, Steve Jones, James Dean Bradfield, and Randy Rhoads. That's the sound they have. I want to kind of amalgamate that. I want to be able to do kind of go from motorcycle emptiness to Crazy Train and Pretty Vacant, that's kind of and Design for Life with the right kind of sound. And all the Les Paul customs I played, they didn't do any of those sounds. They didn't do Steve Jones, they didn't do James Dean Bradfield, and they didn't do Randy Rhoads. And I was like, no. Anyway, shoot forward many years of me trying these things, and then kind of just settling on the black Epiphone. Happy with the black Epiphone. It's a great guitar. There are some issues with it. It's microphonic because of the pickups are a bit kind of a bit crazy. But I still love that guitar, and I won't be getting rid of that guitar because I've got this, because I still love the Epiphone, and it's totally different to this. It's very unique. It's totally different thing to this, and I like that. But anyway, shoot on to this one. So I got this from Gallagher's Guitar Shop in Grimsby. And I love Gallagher's Guitar Shop. If you're ever in Grimsby, find Gallagher's Guitar Shop. You won't regret it. Amazing. Lee in there, he's cool guy. He'll look after you. He'll whatever you kind of need in there, he'll sort you out. And he's really, really cool. And it's just ace. And I've bought loads of stuff from there, and it's just wicked. I love it. And it's the only local guitar shop we've got, so I'm really grateful for it. So anyway, he posted on his Instagram, Gallagher's Guitar Shop Instagram, but they were reopening after lockdown, obviously, and we reopen again and this and the other. And he'd said he'd got quite a lot of stock in, and he was posting pictures of around the shop. And down at the bottom end of the shop, I saw this guitar hung on the wall, very small. I couldn't see it, but I saw it, and I was like, it's a white Les Paul custom. So I messaged him and said, "What's the Les Paul custom?" And he goes, "Oh, it's a second-hand Tokai we've got in." And so I was like, right, I'm coming in. So the day they reopened, I was in there like a shot. And I immediately made a beeline for this guitar and started playing it acoustically and just found it rings. And after playing it acoustically for a bit, I was like, this guitar's going to sound amazing plugged in. I can just feel it's going to sound amazing. So then I went into... somebody else was trying guitars at the time, so I couldn't plug in at the time in an amp. But once that guy finished, I immediately went in there, plugged this thing in, and I was just like, this guitar's amazing. It just felt great. The neck is big. It's a real Les Paul neck. It's big, but it's not ridiculously big. It's a real kind of I do apologise for my phone. I've changed my ringtone, by the way, people with you. But not that that's important. Anyway, but it's a really lovely neck. It's big, but not too big. I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, but it's quite nice. You can get your hand around it. The neck was amazing. The action's amazing. Everything feels good on this guitar, and I plugged it in, and these pickups just made me so happy. It did Steve Jones, it did James Dean Bradfield, and it did Randy Rhoads. So I was like, I need to have this, need to have it. So as I was walking back up to the top end of the shop, he was unboxing a shipment he had recently got from Tokai. And one of the guitars he unboxed threw a bit of a spanner in the works of me obviously loving this guitar. Because he took out a Tokai Love Rock gold top Les Paul with a dark back. And if you've been around here long enough, people with YouTube, you will know that I love gold top Les Pauls. They're my favourite looking Les Paul, especially with a dark back. So I was like, oh God, no. So back to the room we went with the gold top and this, and the gold top just lost. It just lost. It fell on its face. Whereas this just screamed, I'm the one, Dave. And it is. I've played this every day since I got it. I've written some songs on this already. Some I've yet to record. One I have already recorded. And it's just amazing. I love it. And as soon as I got it home and plugged it in, I was just like, I've got my custom. This is all I've ever wanted in a Les Paul custom. You know what I mean? It's all I've wanted. And like I said, it just feels so good. You know, it just feels so good. It looks amazing. The build quality on this thing is amazing. It's as solid as rock. It weighs about 10.5 pounds. It's heavy. It's a boat anchor, this thing. It's an absolute heavy beast. I mean, is it 10.5 pounds? I can't think. But it's 10.5 something. I mean, is it pounds? I can't think straight because my brain's not there. But it's very heavy. Let's just put it that way. It's a super heavy guitar. But I bought a bass strap for it. And it's padded, really well padded. And because of that, people of the tube, when you put this thing on, because this guitar's so well balanced, you don't feel the weight, which is great for me because I can just stand there and I can play this for hours on end. And my shoulder doesn't want to die, and I don't want to die, and I don't get pushed into the floor by playing it, which is great because I love this guitar. Anyway, I've said that enough. But yeah, these things are amazing. Like I say, it's the Tokai. I forget the model number, but it is in the title of the vid. And this thing's just amazing. So let's do a bit of a rundown of what we got. So as far as I know, it's a mahogany body. It's a maple neck, rosewood fingerboard. They are small pots in this guitar. They're not full-size pots. I don't really care. They feel great. They sound great. I'm not that bothered. When they die, I'll just replace them. You know, it won't. You know, if they die, I'll just replace them. It's not a big deal. They feel great. The taper on them is amazing. I say we've got Tokai's humbuckers here. I don't know what they are, but they're incredible, absolutely incredible. They've got all the clarity that you want from a humbucker, but they've got all the beef. You know, there's a lot of cow in there. The bridge and the stop bar tailpiece, they're how they're screwed into the body. I don't know how you ever see it, but the washers are really deep into the guitar, so there's no way of pulling them out. Like on some guitars, like Epiphones and whatnot, the ferrules that go into the body that hold the bridge and the tailpiece in place sometimes will pull out. That can't happen. They're so buried in there. That's not going to happen. So the neck's amazing. You got big frets. They're kind of jumbo frets, but again, for a guitar like this, I want jumbo frets. It's just a plastic nut. I don't know what it is, but you know, this thing stays in tune like nobody's business. Unbranded gold machine heads, but they do what they need to do. You know, and that headstock is just the decal. That decal is to die for. That is gorgeous, and that Tokai logo is even more gorgeous. It's absolutely stunning. And I say the back as well. You got the black covers. Like I say, my only one negative, if I have one, it's not really a negative though, is the small pots, because my experience with small pots is they do die. They're not as strong as full-size ones, but again, you know, it's not a big deal to change out a pot. You know, I will basically keep these in there until if they die, if, and I will let you know, people of Tube, if that ever happens in years to come, or whenever, if that happens, and it's always an if, because they might not, they might live longer than I do, but I would just change them. You know, it wouldn't be a big hoo-ha, it wouldn't be a big issue to do it. It happened on my my vintage V100 Peter Green Les Paul. The bridge pot died eventually from, you know, just using it so much it wore out, because I don't quite have the high tolerances of full-size ones. But again, when that happens, you just replace it. It's no big deal. It's not a deal breaker on a guitar like this, especially one that sounds, plays and feels this good and speaks to me on such a high level. But I am so happy with this. I love it. Like I said, I've always wanted a white custom because of, you know, those guys that I've mentioned. So to have one now and for it to be this good, I am so happy. Anyway, I'm going to shut the hell up talking. I'm going to let you hear it now. So thank you very much indeed for watching, people of Dew. I really hope you enjoy the noises this thing makes. I certainly do. And I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, and a lot of Tokai love going on today, people of Dew. This thing is glorious. If you want a Les Paul Custom and you can't afford a Gibson, just as good. I would put this up against any Gibson, especially any Gibson Les Paul Custom I've played. This is just as good. It really is. I love it. Absolutely amazing guitar. Absolutely amazing. Love it. I bet you can't tell I'm happy. Anyway, hope you enjoy the noises, mates. See you later, everybody. Have a good one.